it, man.
What up, though, with your nephew? You all right today?
Yeah, I'm pretty good.
Well, we got the flow. We don't do interviews. You kick it with juice. You feel me? Um,
Yes, sir.
let's talk about. You did an honorable thing. I feel, and I want to talk about that and how you got yourself to do that. You know what I'm saying? You confessed to some murders that they didn't even know you did, and you freed Devontae Sanford. You know what I'm saying? How we get to that?
Yeah. So how we got to it is he was he was set up by two officers.
Mm-hmm.
Why they chose him, I can't really say.
Did you know the officers?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, bet.
Yeah, it was I believe at the time one of them was Sergeant Tolbert. I think he was sergeant at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I know he later became police chief. I don't know if he's still locked up in the Fed joint, but he got caught up in Flint, I believe, embezzling money. The other one was a Detective Russell, who through Devontae's lawsuit finally ended up getting fired. And continued to try to put shit in the game on his way out the door. Why they didn't just decide to? First of all, how they chose him, I don't know. Why they chose him, I don't know. And then why they continue down the path to railroad him with the help of Kim Worthy really didn't make a whole lot of sense to me either. How I came to know that he was even locked up for it is Russell took me to the bathroom in homicide in the second precinct, and it was all a setup to begin with. I hadn't seen him through this whole process up until that point.
Mm-hmm.
So
this when you get arrested, or this back when when they arrested him?
No, this is back when I get arrested.
Okay, so he had already been locked up. How long then?
Yeah, he had already been locked up close to a year already.
Okay,
he had already been convicted and everything.
Okay.
And so I don't know that the whole asking me, do I need to go to the bathroom to get us off camera until we actually start the conversation. And he was like I know you did Runyon. That was the street that it happened on the east side. And so
what happened on Runyon? Can you elaborate on what happened on Runyon to bring people up to speed?
So it was a spot, and 4 people got killed in the house on Runyon. Okay. 1 woman and 3 men. Yeah. So he so I look at him. I'm using the urinal, and I don't acknowledge whether or not I was the person who did it or anything. And what I did was I was like, oh yeah, saying just hearing, just agreeing that okay, I understand he heard that I was responsible for it. And so he was like, that's impossible. So I look over my shoulder at him because he's standing in the doorway, and I said, why you say that? He said his exact words. He said, we got the kid that did that. I looked at him. I said, impossible. He said, why you say that? I said, because I did that. Prior to this, I hadn't been willing to go down this road or nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But when a grown man locks up a 14-year-old kid for murder,
right?
He can't call him a man. He couldn't say, his natural instinct wouldn't allow him to say, we got the guy, we got the nigga, we got the man. You know what I'm saying? He couldn't say none of that. He said, we got the kid.
Knowing he got a child.
The kid, let me know that it was actually a child. And if anybody was around Devontae when he was 14 years old, he came off as a child. He got some learning defects. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That at that time, I don't know where he is now, but at that time, put him behind the 8 ball. I bumped into him a few times in the county, and he seems to be slow.
Mm-hmm.
Whether he acknowledged that or not is a different story, but I've had conversations with him. So so when I said impossible, he said why? I said because I did that. He said if you did it, you should be able to tell me something can't nobody else tell me.
Mm-hmm.
I said the neighbor shot at me, and I guarantee you he never shoot at nobody else again in his life. So once I said that, by this point, I'm standing in front of the sink, and he's directly behind me, and I'm looking at him in the mirror, and I see in his face that he knew without a doubt that I was the person responsible.
His expression,
from that moment on,
his expression changed.
His expression, he never, 100%. He knew it. He knew. I mean, see, when I ended up, so I'm gonna get to it. So he never said anything else to me from that moment on. Not one single word. There was a point in time where he, through my whole court process, he got on the elevator with my lawyer, and he told my lawyer to tell me, like, man, don't tell him not to say he did that. Like, they, in between him, Tim Worthy, and Sergeant Tolbert, they did everything in their power to make sure that this didn't come to light, to make sure that that this didn't get brought up. And so his lawyers, Devontae's lawyers, when they would come see me, one of the things, and even my lawyer, they would always ask me, like, I don't understand how he knew where these bodies was at if he wasn't in that house. It's not making sense. You got to explain to us, like, how he knew where these bodies were at, how he knew. And I used to be telling them, like, I can't explain it. I said, maybe he went in the house after everything was done. I said, I can't tell you how he knew. You know what I'm saying? Come to find out, they drew the picture the way a child would draw it and had him sign it like he drew it. So the whole time they operating under the premise that he knew where these people was at in the house, and he never knew nothing. He was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and they decided, like, this is the road we going down.
Right.
And they stuck to it. From what I understand, originally he told them, like, him and some of his friends did it. But keep in mind, his friends is kids like him. So I don't know how much of this is, it's factual in terms of, like, 100% accurate.
Right, this is allegedly.
But they go to the friend's house.
Mm-hmm.
They go to the friend's house, and when they knock on the door, their mama's answering the phone because, it's 5, 6 in the morning. They got to go to school. They're like, my baby ain't killed no motherfucking body. He got to go to school in the morning. Keep in mind, at 14, you still even in 8th or 9th grade. So they in either middle school or just started high school. And so they realized, like, this ain't an accurate depiction of whatever he told them. However they got this information out of him, it wasn't accurate. So what I also understood what they did was why they originally had him down in a homicide, they had a K-9 unit at the scene. Well, he goes to the abandoned house, and they take the K-9 paperwork and they change the address from the abandoned house to his address, take it to the judge and go get a warrant to go pick him back up. And then that's when they write the statement, have him sign it like he wrote it, like the shit he said, draw a picture of, of a room with some stick figures on the floor and some square couches, and say that he drew this picture. Come to find out, he didn't do none of this. But once again, let's circle back to the fact that he had some learning disabilities, at least in my opinion.
Right.
And I understand they actually took the test and he got a couple points higher than whatever it is when you consider mentally effective. You know what I'm saying? So you can't technically put that label on them. But, when you toe in that line and you're 14 years old on top of it and your mama throw you to the wolves, because let's be clear, they couldn't be none of this question without his mama's permission. So she threw him to the wolves. You know what I'm saying? He had an auntie who was fucking with a nigga that was a Detroit police officer who tried to save him, and he ended up getting locked up for perjury.
Get out of here.
Yeah, it was just Kim Worthy ain't no better. You know what I'm saying? She did everything she could for 9.5 years to make sure that little nigga stayed locked up.
And they knew from jump start. See, I thought they just found this information out.
They knew. Yeah, no, so he had been in like the juvenile center and all that, but as soon as he got convicted, they knew, and they made sure it stayed buried for either 8.5 or 9.5 years, however long he ended up being locked up total. Like they made sure that it never came out, or they tried to make me seem like to be the liar, that the police would stand up individuals, and come to find out, now they piecing it together that these niggas ain't who they thought they was. You know what I'm saying? My paperwork, my original cop was 50 to 100, but you can't testify for Devontae. Signed by Kim Worthy.
Get out of here.
Signed by Kim Worthy.
So they
Her signatures on it. You know what I did? I turned it down. I didn't take it.
Why you ain't take it? Go ahead.
I wasn't at that point. At that point, I wasn't willing to testify for Devontae. But at that point, I didn't want to close that door. I didn't want to make it impossible for a 14-year-old kid wrongfully convicted of a crime he didn't commit to continue to be locked up.
That's real.
His lawyer got disbarred. You know what I'm saying? The lawyer who convinced him to take that cop. And keep in mind, and this is another part of it. Let's be honest, where we from. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, your mama love you more than anybody, or supposed to, right?
Right.
So at some point, he had to tell his mama, like, Mom, I didn't do this shit. Even if he admitted to it, let's say he admitted to it at some point because he thought it would give him some street cred or whatever the case may be, or because he was too stupid, too retarded, however you want to put it, to say, hey, I didn't do this. Or maybe he did tell the police this, and they lied even about that part, right? But
right.
let's say he did tell the police at some point he did. At some point, he understood how dire going to prison was, and at some point he told his mama, Mom, I didn't do this. Mom, you gotta believe me, I didn't do this. She was never on the news prior to him getting ready to get that money. She was never on TV. Why are they doing this to my son?
Right.
I need y'all help. I need somebody to help me. You know what I'm saying?
That's real.
No, I'm sure that little nigga was bad. I'm sure that nigga came up like all of us. You know what I'm saying? It was in the street, running around, trying to be grown. You know what I'm saying? But that didn't make him no killer.
Right.
And that didn't make him at the moment when that gavel about to bang and they about to give him 40 years. That didn't make him not tell his mama, like, Mom, look, I can't do this. Like, I haven't got myself into something I didn't really understand.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize I wasn't never gonna come home again.
That's real.
You know what I'm saying? At some point, he told his mama, like, Mom, I need some help. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't never there. I never saw her on TV prior to, he about to get out. He about to get $400,000 for, the wrong, for being locked up for all that time. They started giving the $6,000 a year out, and let alone the lawsuit money. That's when I started seeing her on the news. That's when I started seeing her say, "Hey, my son didn't do this." But where was she at during the whole trial process and all that? Right. Where was that love then? Where was that backing then? You know what I'm saying? That's the person who's supposed to be stumped down for you.
No doubt.
Why did they interview this nigga and get him to confess if his mama was sitting there with him?
For real.
You know what I'm saying? Like it ain't. The police is responsible for what they did. Kim Worthy is responsible for what she did, and his mama is responsible for what happened too. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Yeah, but my original plea was 50 to 100. You can't testify for Devontae. I wouldn't accept it. Not like I say, not because like the time was too much. Because I ultimately ended up taking it, but she did. She took stipulation out of it. And okay. I wish I'd signed the original agreement, so that way I had it in writing. That way everybody could see it.
That's right.
But I know it
happened. You ain't got no reason to lie. Right, you ain't got no reason to lie. You've been telling everything.
Not only that, the media has always, one of the things I've heard in the media is they've always wanted to know, like, why was he offered a cop to begin with? Y'all got him. It don't make sense.
Tell us why.
That's because they didn't want none of this to come out.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't want it to be known. They didn't want, and like I say, Kim Worthy's signature is on my paperwork, not nobody else's. Not the prosecutor who tried the case. That's not whose signature on my paperwork. Kim Worthy's did. That bitch hired up. You might want to take that part out. That woman assigned a task force to figure out how I knew Devontae. And they came up with nothing. And yet still she wouldn't let him go. Wouldn't admit. As a matter of fact, how about this part? This is really about to fuck you up.
You have 1 minute remaining.
Go ahead.
They let Devontae out of prison. They let Devontae out of prison and never dismissed the charges.
Get out of here.
Out of prison, convicted of 4 murders. You know when they dismissed the charges? When the statute of limitations on charges of police officers ran out.
Get out of here. Now that was dirty.
He was out for almost a year. Convicted of. If you look him up on Otis or anything, it'll say he was convicted of 4 murders. They dismissed the charges until a year after because the statute of limitations on being able to charge the police ran out.
You got something to say to Devontae? And I want you to call back, but you got something to say to Devontae?
I'm sorry?
Do you got something to say to Devontae?
Oh, I call back to that.
All right,
about to hang up. And we about to go to countdown, so I'll catch up with you a little bit later after a while.
Okay, bet. I'll be waiting on you to call. I appreciate you calling, nephew. You feel me? Call back, and we can finish this.
All right.
All right, peace.
Thank you for using GTL.
There y'all have it. See you.